Could I ask a question, Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
It would be helpful, I think maybe both now and if you send this back, for me to understand if there's an element to being an existing licensee that is not captured in the 3 words there: active, compliant, and in good standing.
This is Amanda. It also in section 8 does talk about modifying their operation and expanding existing operations, so it does make those references as well.
Come on, solve our problem for us.
So Heidi, when this came, I think it was Sean was here, and this is number 8. He kind of explained it to us as this: a square could be a circle, but that wouldn't be a physical impact. If you had a garden that was rectangular one year and then a circle the next year, that would be considered no or minimal impact. Is that, how hard is that to define?
There's no change to the footprint.
Well, Sean said there could be changes to the footprint.
Well, the footprint is the size, basically. No stacking.
Expansion of the cultivation footprint shall not be found.
The footprint is defined to equate to the meaning of canopy. That was a clarification that was added at your board's direction in section 2. With regard to section 8, that's my memory as well of an example that we discussed in the hearing, the concept that the shape of something could change provided that there was no net change in environmental impact. And so that was what I believe is attempted to be conveyed there in that first sentence, if that's what you're referring to. Existing licensees shall be allowed to modify their operation with proper approvals if it does not increase the intensity or cultivation footprint of the operations, and shall only be allowed when it can be demonstrated that there would be no or minimal physical impact. Your board spent quite a bit of time actually on that paragraph there, and I think landed where we have reflected the language here, as I recall. That was the intent.
Amanda, where we're looking at these 2 existing licenses within Rush Creek, and we give the date, August 18 of 21, and existing licenses within Rush Creek, the date, August 18 of 2020. Is there a problem with the fact that when this was written, that made sense, those licenses were active at that time, dates were given, but now that we've had our little snafu and we're waiting for licenses to be reissued, is there a problem just that they're not issued on this date?
I think that's why we put the definition of active in the.
Just want to hear what she says.
Okay.
Amanda, are you there?
I think we lost her.
We
All right, bring on number 4.
Where's our 4th attorney of the day?
We got him
Keep
sitting
him
here.
for 10.
How about this wild thought?
Oh, wait, no, I think she's back. Amanda?
I am sorry it dropped for some, yeah, I'm back. It dropped for some reason. I don't know why. Apologies.
No worries. So, Amanda, there's a little bit of, to me it's just vague, and I would just like to hear it from you that it's okay. Right now, we've got this statement in section 3, item 1, and the other one is in 7, where we talk about these existing licenses in the area and give a date, August 18 of 20 and whatever the other one was. Is there a problem that right now today, because of our circumstances, those licenses aren't actually issued this day that we create this? At the time they were when this was written, but do you see where I'm going? Is that going to pose a problem?
Yeah, because there's been a change in status of the licenses.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the time this is passing, there are no existing licensees.
Correct.
Yeah, I do think that that's somewhat vague because we're also talking about what that definition means.
When we say those licenses that were,
but it's as of that date, so that's the cutoff date. So if there were existing licensees as of August 18th, 2020,
Then
that are compliant, active, and good standing, then that should be fine. If we had them at that time.
and because we do define what active, compliant, and good standing are, I think that we captured the idea of what we wanted to do there. We want the ones that are there and playing by the rules are going to be allowed and no one else.
Yeah, as of those dates, correct?
Yes.
so we understand that, we're all good with it, but I just want to hear from you that that's solid.
Yes,
Okay.
that's clear to me. For
Okay, and then the other piece I would like clarity from you is, at the time this was written, there was no EIR. And so when these findings were written, they made sense. Now that we have an EIR, it feels uncomfortable to some people. And what's your take on that? That because it was written
that's what I mentioned before. I think that those are technicalities that can be, if they want to take them out or leave them in either way. I think it's a technicality if they want to delete them. It's not going to have to go back anywhere. These are, like I said, they're not, part and parcel of the body, and they were put in there before you had the EIR. The EIR covers those issues, so the necessity of the findings isn't necessarily there. It also doesn't force the matter back to a first reading. Did that answer your question?
It did, thank you.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make a motion here. It's still light out, I got plenty of time.
We still got hours to do that.
All right. Adopt, pass the second reading with the technical changes. Number 3.7. Instead of saying existing licenses, say approved existing licenses within the Rush Creek area. Number 4.8. Instead of saying existing licenses, say approved existing licenses. All right, on 4.3. Somebody's tracking this. Yes. On 4.3, strike the sentence that says areas experiencing illegal pumping and unauthorized water sources and lack of water for cultivation and dust control.
Okay.
And that's all I would change.
I would say in section 3, 3 and 4, did you catch those ones? Those are also in the finding section for Rush Creek. It's about the same as the one you just struck from Lewiston.
I'm sorry, 3 what?
3, 3, and 3, 4.
Strike the whole.
The bottom half of 3.3.
Well, 3.3.
The truck delivery of water sources?
3.3 is all accurate information.
So 3, 4. Does that one have
3.4 has the same sentence that we struck.
illegal it has illegal pumping and stuff in it too. So would you like to strike that?
Yes,
portion?
please. I'm sorry, yes.
3, 4, so.
So that would be under number 3.4, strike the area experiences illegal pumping from unauthorized water sources and lack of water for cultivation and dust control. And that is my motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'm gonna, just for giggles, Amanda, are you still on there?
Who seconded that motion?
I did, Amanda.
Supervisor Cox. So, do you, in your opinion, is adding one word to the cultivation or the licensees to add that they're, what did you? Approved licensees?
Approved existing.
No, I think that's fine because I find it somewhat redundant to existing licensees. They wouldn't have licenses if they hadn't been approved, so it's just a technical change.
All right, so you're all right with that, I'm all right with that. So, any further discussion? We only have 2 motions on the table, so seeing none, seeing no further motions.
Okay. I'm going to clarify, make sure I have all of them.
Last one.
I think I have everything, but
Last one for,
the motion is to approve with the following changes. In section 3, subsection 4, striking the sentence, the area experiences illegal pumping from authorized water sources and lack of water for cultivation and dust control. In subsection 7, adding approved to the beginning of that statement, so it reads approved existing licenses within the Rush Creek Estates Cannabis Opt-out area. Continues on. In section 4, subsection 3, striking the sentence, the area experiences illegal pumping from unauthorized water sources and lack of water for cultivation and dust control. And subsection 8 adds the word approved prior to existing licenses. So it reads, the beginning of it reads, approved existing licenses within the Lewiston Expansion Cannabis Opt-out area. Okay, Supervisor Cox.
So you struck 2 the areas and you added 2 words approved.
Correct.
Aye.
Supervisor Gross.
Aye.
Supervisor Gogan.
Aye.
Chairman Frazier. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Dennis.
Okay, so it's 6:30. Does anyone need to take a break before we plow through? Because we gotta hurry up and try to get this done. All right. Human resources. You have had a long day, Shelley. Ratify County lead negotiators. Item 5.4. Ratify County lead negotiators Sylvia Meyer's signature.
I'm sorry,
on the
Chair.
site.
This is Amanda. Did you already do 5.33?
That was 5.33. We were just bulldozing through. That's what we just
Staff
passed. So,
file a sequel notice of determination within 5 days?
Oh, okay, I forgot. I also moved.
Well, I was under the impression that your motion was to approve the entire item with those modifications to the ordinance.
Okay,
So 5
part of my motion was to direct staff.
Yes,
Yeah, that was my understanding.
that was my
Okay,
thing.
thank you, just for clarification. Sorry for that
No problem.
interruption.
Okay, 5.4, ratify county lead negotiator Sophia Meyer's signature on a side letter agreement with the Deputy Sheriff's Association replacing references to correctional deputy sheriff with sergeant with jail commander, no fiscal impact.
Where's
Good
Sophie?
evening.
Where's lawyer 4?
I think she's floating around somewhere in the ocean. So,
Stuck with me.
yes, not stuck, Amanda, thank you. So, the board had approved a Deputy Sheriff's Association MOU back in July 7, 2021. And in closed session on May 3rd, you had approved both a new job classification. I'm sorry, it was not in closed session, getting these mixed up. On May 3rd, the board approved both a new job classification of jail commander and at the same time deleted the correctional deputy sheriff's sergeant classification effective April 1st. So once all of that was approved and changed, we need to update the current MOU to reflect these classification changes referenced throughout the contract. The side letter agreement that was drafted, reviewed by the bargaining unit membership and the county, has been fully executed by the county's lead negotiator, Sophie Meyer, the DSA president, Ryan Lynn, who was the DSA lead negotiator, and UPEC representative, Ron Copeland. So I'm asking for you to ratify her signature.
All right. Any technical questions before I open the public comment?
No.
Any public comment on this item? Any on Zoom?
No, sir.
Okay. Would anyone care to make a motion?
I'll move to ratify 5.4 as presented.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Supervisor Cox?
Aye.
Supervisor Gross?
Aye.
Supervisor Gogan?
Aye.
Chairman Frazier?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Item number 5.5. Ratify County Lead Negotiator Sophie Meyer's signature on a side letter agreement with Deputy Sheriff's Association to increase salaries by 15% effective June 1st, 2022. Approximate cost and salary and benefits for fiscal year 21-22 is $42,033, and for fiscal year 22-23 is $610,000.
So again, the board had approved the DSA's MOU back in July 7, 2021. We had met in closed session on May 3rd to consider the DSA's request for an increase in salaries due to the current emergency situation of excessive loss of staff in both the jail and patrol.
I think that those are technicalities that can be, if they want to take them out, even if losing staff and also the inability of retaining staff due to neighboring communities that have significantly higher salaries, and directed the negotiating team to create this side letter agreement. So it was created reflecting in Article 4, Section 2, salary, to commencing the first full pay period following ratification of the side letter agreement, county shall increase employees' salary 15%. Which hopefully, if it's approved today, would be for June 1st. The side letter agreement was drafted, it was reviewed by the bargaining unit and their membership, and the county it's been fully executed by both Sophie Meyer, the DSA President Ryan Lynn, and UPAC Representative Ron Copeland.
Any technical questions for public comment? None. Do we have any public comment on this item?
Approve.
Anything on Zoom?
Veronica?
Veronica Kelly Albies, Douglas City. I didn't feel it right not to say one more thing before the day ended. I just want to congratulate Shelley and the team and the Sheriff's Department on coming to something that could really help support your team. And I want to thank the Board of Supervisors for supporting your staff members in this way. And I encourage you to keep doing so as best we can with the money we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is all I have on Zoom.
All right, with that, we'll close public comment.
Move to approve 5.5 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right.
Supervisor Cox?
Aye.
Supervisor Gross?
Aye.
Supervisor Gogan?
Aye.
Chairman Frazier?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, 5.6. Take the following actions regarding the Deputy Director of Solid Waste Classification. Approve a side letter agreement with the Management and Confidential Unit modifying spreadsheet A of the MOU regarding the Deputy Director of Solid Waste Classification. And 2, authorize the Director of Human Resources to modify the alphabetical listing of classification changes. Changing the ranges for Deputy Director of Solid Waste to M265 retroactively effective July 1st, 2021.
Okay. So the board had approved a management and confidential memorandum of understanding, which currently has a 6-year term, and it was approved back in February 4th, 2020, which included spreadsheet A, which is attached to this item, listing each classification and corresponding percentage annual pay increases. These negotiated annual pay increases took into account both the class and compensation recommendations, as well as meeting the minimum wage increase requirements. And though it was understood that this would create compaction issues within classification series, it's been discovered that during this fiscal year, the Deputy Director of Solid Waste classification is actually being paid less than their subordinate manager classification of Solid Waste Technician 3. This classification requires obviously more responsibility, training, education duties, and does need to be corrected. So the range that we took into consideration and met and conferred with the union is to place it at M265. I do want to note that of all the other deputy directors within the county, their classifications are set within M258 to 267. And then there are no more class and comp increases for both of these classifications, so we felt this would be, to bring it to the correct equal level, and then it would be set for the remainder of this MOU. And then if that is approved, if the side letter agreement, which was drafted, reviewed by the bargaining unit, membership and the county has been fully executed by our lead negotiator and UPEC representative Ron Copeland. So we're asking you to approve that side letter agreement, as well as then direct the Human Resources Director myself to reflect the salary change on the alphabetical listing of classifications for Trinity County employees. And we do need to retro it back to July 1st of 2021 for this fiscal year when the change occurred.
All right. Any technical questions?
Yeah, one. So the base salary is going to go from 85 to 114. Is that
Say that again?
The base salary here is going from 85,000 to 114.
Just let me pull up the fiscal form just a second. So that's super tiny font. So it's going from 7131.73 to 9517.33. Is that what you asked?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was actually
He was looking at annual
Oh.
numbers, but yes,
So
the answer is yes.
85,000 to 114
correct,
is the increase in pay.
correct.
30,000. Does that take in the retro part of it, that 30,000?
Yes.
It does.
It's unfortunate we didn't catch it at the beginning of the fiscal year.
Better late than never.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Any other technical questions? All right, I'll open this item up to public comment. Is there any public comment on item 5.6? Seeing none,
I have no raised hands and no new chats.
I'll close public comment, bring it back to the board.
I'll move to approve.
Second?
Motion and second, any further discussion?
Yeah, I just want to point out to our interim CAO that we have, or I have asked for us to look at solid waste to do better performance. They run really cheap, but we don't have good service, and that's a big complaint. So I know that it's a lack of money, but I personally, the board hasn't said this, but I personally would like to see a plan to get better service, which was kind of not perfect.
All right, well, it's been that kind of day. All right, any other further discussion? Seeing none?
Supervisor Cox?
Aye.
Supervisor Groves?
Aye.
Supervisor Gogan? Chairman Frazier?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Continuing right along, planning and zoning. Item 5.7, introduce, waive the reading of, and enact an urgency ordinance establishing temporary guidelines for temporary occupancy and reconstruction on private property that suffers damage due to the 2021 lightning fires, loss of revenue, and unknown amount.
Hi, Chairman Frazier, Christy Anderson, Trinity County Environmental Health Director. This is exactly like the waiver or the urgency ordinance for the 2020 wildfires. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Anybody have any questions for Director Anderson?
So is this you plan to turn this into a permanent ordinance at some point about during emergencies, or is the plan just to keep throwing out urgency ordinances as we burn up homes?
So the planning department is working on something permanent. However, I felt that it was urgent that we got something through right away, as we are now at today's date at 45% completion for the cleanup. We want to see our folks stick around, and so getting them back on those properties is really important in my eyes.
Thank you.
Any other technical questions? All right, seeing none, we will open public comment on item 5.7.
Approve.
Anyone on Zoom?
I have no raised hands and no new chats.
All right, that we will close public comment, bring it back to the board.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none.
Supervisor Gogan?
Aye.
Supervisor Cox? Aye. Supervisor Go? Thank you. This is
Aye.
Chairman Fraser, thank you.
All right.
That was before, right?
Where are we at now?
What was that, Amanda?
But that was at least 4, correct?
That was all of us, yep.
Yes, that was a unanimous 4-0.
All right, probation, item 5.8, approve a budget adjustment for fiscal year 21-22 for probation department 2400, increasing service and supplies by $52,040, and approve a budget adjustment for fiscal year 21-22 for general fund contingency department 9901, decreasing provisions for contingency by $52,040. Increase in general fund appropriations in the amount of fiscal impact. Increase in general fund appropriations in the amount of $52,040. Current contingency balance is $156,308. Go ahead.
Chairman, Brown, members of the board, Ruby Fiora, Chief Probation Officer. So this comes out of an overpayment that was received to the probation department. We have targeted case management that we receive funds for. And so those monies are based on prior years. So the money that was received was based on 2018-19 contacts that probation had with our population. It's also on a variable rate. And so then in 1920, we received $128,000. And then in in 2022, they did an audit on that year and required the repayment of that amount of just over 52.
All right, any technical questions? Any public comment on this item?
I have no raised hands and no new chats.
All right, that will close the public comment, bring it back to the board. Anyone care to make a motion?
I'll move to approve 5.8.
Motion and a second, any further discussion?
Supervisor Gogan?
Aye.
Supervisor Gross?
Aye.
Supervisor Cox?
Aye.
Chairman Fraser?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
So now can we open up the public comment for the...
You guys wanted retail today too.
I did.
all right.
I'll admit I'm wrong. That was a good call, Chief.
Well, that concludes our regular meeting, and now closed session.
Well, while you're reading it, I'm gonna take a walk.
All right, so closed session, 6.1, Government Code Section 54954.5F, labor negotiations, county designated representatives Sophia Meyer and Elizabeth Hamilton, employee organizations and home supportive services. And 6.2, Carlson et al. Versus Trinity County et al., Trinity County Superior Court case number 20 CV 136. I gotta go do those separately. because we have to take public comment. So item 6.1.
6.2 actually still stays as 6.1. It was just trailed to the end of the meeting.
Okay,
So
so-
you did already take public
All right.
comment on it.
All right, so do we have any public comment on either of those closed session agenda items?
I have no raised hands and no new chats.
All right, with that, we will move to closed session.
Holy mackerel.
Do we have anybody from?
Do we still have an attorney?